the work of the Outdoor Education Group is about people and the environment. People is me or you as an individual, and communities. And so if we think about an individual, the work of OEG is about a person's capacity, their psychological health and their behaviour. And when we talk about community, we're interested in their skills, their capacity and their behaviour with respect to cooperation with others and productive relationships. So when you break it down like that, OEG's work is about really specific parts of that. Now the final bit that wraps around the whole thing is environment. And so that's about a person's capacity to connect to the natural world and to care for it. A lot of people feel the founder of outdoor experiential learning in the world was a guy called Kurt Hahn. And Kurt was around towards the end of the First World War. And he observed that in lifeboats, after ships were wrecked, that the older sailors were surviving when the younger pups weren't. So it's interesting because the foundations of OEG, or how it came about, was from canoeing. And a lot of us were canoeing instructors, and we would often teach, for example, a couple. And we would observe how couples didn't necessarily get on awfully well in a canoe. But then we'd find two different people who are from totally different walks of life, and they'd learn to cooperate. Or one person was strong and one person not so much. So really quite similar to Kurt Hahn, the origins of our work came from canoeing, and then more and more today it's about a whole range of activities, and it's not the activity that's important, it's the journey with people through the natural world.
I met Tony Pammer 30 years ago, and he tried to sell the idea of outdoor education to St Michael's. And a few of us were a bit sceptical about how this young 20-year-old could actually provide outdoor education for Forms 1 to 6, as they were called in those days. So I spent a day with Tony in the field, and by the end of that day I was absolutely convinced that outdoor education and OEG, or it was OAG at that stage, was the right way to go for St Michael's.
I think that we are growing generations of young people who lack resilience, who expect everything to be done for them, expect the world to revolve around them. What outdoor education provides, in a fairly intense and compressed way, is an opportunity for students to realise that there's more to this world than just them and their next acquisition. And they need to engage in the natural environment. They need to be given the opportunity to stretch and be challenged. They need to know what it's like to be a little uncomfortable.
I just want my mum. I just need some parent talk. I just want mum.
Perseverance of getting up every day after just walking 17 k's, and your legs feel like they're never going to get up, and you're cold and you're in your warm sleeping bag and everyone's groaning around you, and you just got to push off the sleeping bag, get up, get it done, because then at the end of the day there's another warm bed waiting for you.
The impact that outdoor education has on participants' lives can be really varied. You can have some students that will come away going, wow, you know, I did something I never thought I would ever do. Other ones that have come away saying, I've made friends, and they hated me at school, but we got out there and we got along, we had to get along, and that was amazing.
I learned a lot about, you always find out so many things about the people that are on your trips.
I think you really bond on the OEG trips more than any other trips from the school really does.
We find the outdoor education camps have a huge effect on our students in a positive way. They become better problem solvers, enable them to feel like they can make mistakes and it's okay to make mistakes, and they learn from those mistakes, and then they can bring that back into their everyday life back at home.
We see it constantly, week in, week out in programmes. Maybe young people who don't feel they can achieve, or who come in with that nervousness and a little bit of apprehension about what they're going to be doing and what happens in the outdoors. By pushing them, by challenging them, we see that their perceptions of what they can achieve changes. And I think also their peers and the staff, the teachers that work alongside them, maybe they weren't aware that those students had that inside them as well. And I think for me, that's probably the best thing that you see coming from the students. And as I said, it's something we see regularly.
I think because this is all new, we go about it with different mindsets.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more fun out here, definitely.
It's
better.
Very different, but it's so much better learning here because you learn so much about yourselves and all your classmates. It's so good.
And it's good because you're interacting with your friends a lot more and you just persist at tasks to get better at them.
Engagement in the outdoors is a little bit like practice for life. And in today's society, we either have less consequences for our actions or significantly bigger consequences for actions, or we have less of a values framework, or all of a sudden it comes crashing down on us in a big way. When you learn to ride a bike, you practice. You wobble, you put your foot down. We don't have that so much anymore. So an outdoor journey is just like this mini period of your life. You have to go out in the bush, and if someone's annoying you, you can't go home, they're there. And if you can't cook dinner, you don't eat. And if you don't feel like walking, then you're not going to get there. And it's really important that we have an opportunity to practice and have medium-sized consequences for decisions that we make, either about ourselves, our emotional health, about our interactions with others, or the environment.
Why on earth are you doing this away from school?
To gain independence and to be free and just have fun, basically.
We find that the outdoor education programs affect student stress levels in a real positive way. We can always refer back to remember how you felt on camp and how we got through it and dealt with it, and everything seemed to be okay at the end. So we sort of use it as a real bouncing sort of board to try and bring it back into school, and it's something the kids talk about for many years to come.
I think I learnt the ability to step back, not only to step back and let other people have a go at different jobs, but step back and calm. So important, especially nowadays with how connected we are with technology constantly. And just I think getting away from that is such a good experience. Also studies, just getting a break without feeling guilty. It's something that's enforced. And I just think it's just such a rare experience that you can see all these places and get back to nature. It's becoming increasingly more important, I think.
I think definitely just getting out and just doing things. I know since I've been back at school, since after COSI, most of our group just wanted to get out and just do something again and just kind of get out there and go rafting and go hiking and things, because it is just kind of an experience you can't have anywhere else. I mean, you're in the city the whole time with school and doing work. Is getting out there and walking and just doing fun things is the best thing possible.
Yeah, I even started running. I've started running.
I didn't start running.
No way, I know, right? My parents are checking for fevers.
I think the best thing for me is I keep in contact with some students, and I'm so delighted to hear them say that they can go off into the Australian natural environment, into the bush, and they can have a safe and enjoyable time. And that's really the reason that I do it. We've got such a magnificent environment here in Australia, and for me to be able to teach kids to go out into the field and recreate and enjoy our natural environment safely is just wonderful.
We quite often ask kids about their environmental understanding before they go, and it's not unusual for them to rate 9s and 10s. I understand the environment really well. But when they come back, often you see scores of 5 or 6, and you ask them, well, hang on, before you went, you said you understood the environment to a 9, and now it's a 6. Why? And the real answer is that a lot of us think we've got a relationship with the natural world and we understand it, but it's not until we've been in it, we've lived under the stars for a few nights, that suddenly we realise there's a whole bigger natural world out there that we've lost contact with.
I like all the area and the dam out there. It's pretty nice in the morning.
It happened this morning, so I'm expecting it to happen tomorrow morning, waking up and
seeing kangaroos. My cabin saw 3 kangaroos and 1 kookaburra.
It's the work of feeling like we're giving back to our world. We're giving back to humans, individuals, and seeing them grow. We're giving back to communities and strengthening their resilience, their communication skills, their capacity, their cooperation with each other, and giving back to the environment. And for me, it's equal to see people connecting with the environment, so the human gets value from that connection, and equally that we see the environment benefiting from humans understanding and valuing the environment more. And that's what gets me out of bed every day, and has done for 30 years, often, in circumstances where it's been hot or cold or you're tired and there's a lot of stuff on. But I'll tell you what, I've got the best job in the world.